Hello and welcome back to the Family Building Podcast. We're here with Sara and with Jordan, and we have previously told their story here on the podcast about how they went through some adoption litigation with Sara's twin sister regarding DJ. But today we're going to talk about a different issue, and that is raising a child that's been diagnosed with autism. And I have to say, Jordan, Sara, you guys have been super impressive as clients. We just love how you love DJ, and we're excited for you to encourage our audience about your experience going through a DJ and his diagnosis of autism. So welcome.
Thank
Thank you.
you for having us.
Your story was you had to suddenly drop everything. Your 1-year-old son, 1-year-old nephew was in crisis. Your sister and sister-in-law had overdosed. Child Protective Services was going to intervene. You guys are a young couple. You have no plan on doing this. You run up to Northern California, take custody of DJ and become his legal guardians. When did you first notice that they're beyond just some of his developmental delays, that he was falling behind in his first year, but once you were getting him caught up, what were the first signs that you thought there might be another diagnosis for DJ?
Yeah, so me and Jordan are both a full-time working parents now, or we were working full-time. And so he was placed in a daycare setting. It was more like a private school. They went through all the way through kindergarten, a great facility. But he was there and he wasn't talking as much as his peers. And he wasn't making like speech progress. He would play by himself, really like antisocial. So at first, I took him into the pediatrician to get a speech referral because we thought, oh, maybe it's just that he has a delay in speech, like not autism, but just speech. So then we got our referral for speech through the pediatrician and we took him to the speech therapist and she's like, I think he needs a developmental evaluation also. So then from the speech therapist, we got another referral to do a developmental evaluation. And that's when he was diagnosed by a psychiatrist with autism.
And how old was DJ at that time?
When we took him in for speech, he was 2. And when he was diagnosed, he was about 2.5.
And Sara, you've got some qualifications in your education and training. Can you tell us about those?
Sure. I have an associate's in early childhood development. So I work with kids a lot. And so I knew that there was signs of a speech delay, but DJ was our first kid. So I never saw it in the home 24/7 of autism. I just thought it was a speech delay. But going through like pediatrician and doing early intervention as soon as we saw things that he was lacking really helped him with his autism diagnosis ultimately, because if we were just to ignore his speech delay and say, oh, he's 2, he'll learn how to talk, it'll come to him, he's a boy. I know a lot of people say boys like slack during like speech, that girls talk faster. But if we were to ignore those signs and wait and not do early intervention, he wouldn't have as much success as he does now.
So when you say early intervention, what were the next steps? He's 2.5. You just received this diagnosis. What are the first and next steps that you take?
Yeah, it's super overwhelming. I mean, they're like, he needs speech therapy, occupational therapy, ABA therapy, join these groups, contact regional center. So I took a pen and paper, just a regular pen and paper, and wrote everything they told me to do and started off with the therapies. Okay, he needs speech therapy, he needs occupational therapy, he needs ABA therapy. Let's go get the referrals. So we started off with getting the referral.
So you get all these referrals. Let's go through speech therapy. I think it's pretty self-explanatory to the audience, but let's talk about occupational therapy. How does
Yeah.
that work with a 2.5-year-old?
It's really awesome for them, actually. You go into it's almost like a big gym. Occupational therapy can deal with many things like sensory issues, food textures, noises. So it's basically a lot of sensory things. So he would go through like pressure machines with his back. They would do all these different techniques with him. They would try different foods
Foods.
with
They would give
him.
him foods, let him handle the food
Yeah,
to
they would
get him used
practice
to
with the
textures.
toothbrush. He didn't like the bristles on his teeth. So we would practice with the toothbrush and we would do occupational therapy twice a week. So we would even bring our own little snacks that were from our house that he would never touch. And so that they could work with him, his own toothbrush so that they can work with him with his toothbrush. But he really enjoyed going through rolling pins and stuff, just the pressure on him. Yeah, he loved, occupational therapy.
And that continues to this day?
Yes.
Okay. And what other, so you went to speech therapy, occupational therapy. You mentioned ADA. Could you describe what that therapy is?
Yeah, ABA is kind of like it's applied behavior analyst. So what they do is they set goals for him because when a kid is diagnosed with autism, it's a spectrum. So not every kid with autism is going to be the same. They're going to have different triggers. They're going to have different ways of stemming. So what they really do is try to what they call mask. And by masking in society, they teach him how to fit in. So not necessarily change him in any way, but say, like, if you don't know how to ask for food properly, they teach him ask for foods. You say more or eat. And so they give them more abilities to communicate with people because in their world, in his world, we're different, not him.
What other type of therapies other than speech, occupational, ADA? What other type of therapies?
So he's went to social therapy, so a lot of socializing. He has hard time socializing with other kids. He's doing way better now. So we would take him to social groups and he would get to interact with peers that weren't on the spectrum, but a lot of these social groups had kids on the spectrum, so he was able to relate with them and he didn't feel out of place or different. And we got him involved in community sports.
And now you're heading towards school age. And what would you recommend that our listeners do if they see these behaviors, they're in these therapies? What did you do to become an advocate prior to DJ going into school?
So prior to him going in school, since we knew he had the diagnosis, we didn't wait for to put him into a public school and for the teachers and the professionals there to tell us that there was something wrong. We jumped on it and we said, "Hey, our son has autism. We would like for him to be evaluated at your school and set up an IEP plan so that he has an opportunity to grow at their school. So they have special accommodations made for him, but they did their own evaluations, and that's before he entered. So if you wait until he enters school, then they're going to just bring all these issues. And you don't want to feel like there's something wrong with your son when you already know he has autism. So if you're an advocate in advance and say, we already know that this is what's going on and we need your guys' help.
So you approach the school early and you give them notice, you put them on notice. When do they begin the IEP process? And when does the school begin to do their own assessments and have their own diagnoses of the student?
As soon as you go to the school, they are pretty on top of it. They have 30 days to reach out to you. So they'll start making appointments for his evaluations and I took in his diagnosis already to them by myself without him. And that's when they started setting up appointments and doing their own evaluations on him.
So once the school then has their diagnoses, can you describe the IEP process and if you do that each year?
I do the IEP meetings. We go in every season. He gets 3 IEPs a year, and he has a full team of therapists that we meet with, and we discuss his progress, what he still needs help in.
This sounds like a lot of work. It sounds like a lot of extra responsibilities for you as parents. But let me ask you this, Jordan. as you're going through, you've got legal issues kind of going on. You're getting a guardianship. You started to file for adoption. We have to petition to terminate your sister-in-law's parental rights if she's not going to agree. But as you walk through this with your son, or who's becoming your son, how would you describe the bonding process with your son as you go through and you see his special needs, and you have to treat him probably different than you were raised and different from your expectations, right? Is he going to be a
I
football
loved
player?
him. I mean, throughout the whole process, the court going on and everything, during that whole time, I'm raising a child and bonding with him. So, just fathering him was a blessing for me, taking him to parks, taking him to the duck pond, taking him to arcades. The whole time, I mean, I was being a father. So, I mean, yes, we had that stuff going on, but I was just so blessed and rewarded because that whole time I had my son, DJ.
Did you think was it more special because he was special? In other words,
Yeah.
how creative did you have to be as a father? Is he going to be the star of, quarterback on the football team, or you have to be creative with your son because he is special? He is
Right,
unique.
right. You had to be creative and understand that, hey, he's doing this or he might be doing this or acting this way because he does have, a disability, but I still loved him the same. That didn't stop me from loving DJ and doing normal things.
Yeah, and one of the programs that they offer in regional center is like a stipend that they pay for them to do football and karate, and so we tried all those things with
Yeah.
DJ, and we made him stick out the football season, and was it his thing? No, he
No.
said, "I don't wanna do this." And were we okay with it? We sure were
You
okay with
right.
it. We said, "We're gonna be here at every football game cheering you on, even though you don't like it right now." He's trying it, we're there supporting him, and we know that it's not something he likes, but we also go to science museums where he wants to be an engineer and
Right.
build robots
And
and
he likes to paint and draw.
yeah.
So so I had to learn him and things that he was interested in. He's very creative. He likes to draw, paint, crochet. Those
He
are some of the things
yeah.
that DJ likes to
He
do.
brings things to us all the time, like, we don't know how to crochet, but we're amazed at what he can do at 9 years old crocheting, and his whole Christmas list is crocheting things like eyeballs and buttons and yarn. Okay, we're supporting this.
What kind of transformation have you seen in DJ because of your investment into him, your commitment to him?
Well, I shouldn't say this, but he's
Yeah.
my best kid. He's well behaved. He's well mannered. Um,
Yeah.
he's a gentleman. He opens the door for women.
He does chores like a normal kid would do chores. I fold clothes, he puts away his own clothes. He can take out the trash for us, but the transformation from his speech and his social skills, oh my gosh, it blows our mind all the time. We watch videos of him when he was in kindergarten and couldn't even say his sister's name, and he would
Hmm.
just call her baby, and now he talks fully. I mean, he still has a speech impediment. They say he has apraxia speech disorder, where he knows what he wants to say, but he can't get it out fully. So it takes him a minute to get everything out. But we have people tell us all the time, like, oh, we wouldn't even recognize he's on the spectrum. And, some people would find that offensive, but we really find it encouraging because we did therapies maybe like 5 days a week. They were in our house. We took him to different places, and so his journey and how far he's came is amazing.
Do they know what caused autism in DJ? Has anyone ever been able to tell you that?
Well, we
No,
think we have a good idea of what caused it, but we don't know for a fact.
no. And I
Yeah,
don't
has
think
there
there's any, like, proof that there's things that cause autism because there's women in pregnancy that, like, are the healthiest and do everything, but their kid might come out with autism.
Right.
So we're not for sure, and we can't say, but
We think something has a big
yeah, with the circumstances of the pregnancy and the lifestyle of his birth mom, we're pretty sure that it's
yeah.
because of the uses of substance or mental health issues that she went through.
Well, despite all this, could you both just take a moment and speak to our audience? If you can, encourage them to engage in this adoption process, and whether their child, whether it's a biological child or adopted child, ends up, having autism. What encouragement can you give them today?
We just encourage you to take a deep breath, write everything down that is told to you, take it as a checklist, and it gets easier and easier as you work with the professionals and start the early intervention. And it's so much benefit. The children are benefiting from the intervention, but watching them like grow out of it and experiencing things that you never thought they could do is worth it. It's like a fulfillment in your heart.
Yeah. Jordan, any closing encouragement?
Yes, I recommend that if this is going on in your family and you have a similar issue going on, to do the right thing. I feel like if people do the right thing in life, then good comes back to you, right? And God has been with me and Sarah this whole way through, so I highly recommend to other families going through the same thing to go through this process, and God will guide you through the whole journey.
Jordan, I'm going to put you on the spot. Is your marriage stronger or not as
Yeah,
strong because of what you guys have walked through together?
my marriage, I mean, 17 years married now, or
Well,
with my
11
wife,
years
but
married, but high school
yeah, we're
sweethearts for
great. We
sure.
go on dates every 3 months, and, our kids are happy. They go everywhere. I
Yeah.
think we're going to Universal Studios soon, and I love my marriage and also my kids.
We've
So
had rough patches. We've done
right,
marriage counseling and things like that, but we've definitely learned each other through the process
right.
and to keep pouring into each other, and then the outpour goes into our children.
Well, we thank you. We hope our listening or viewing audience would be encouraged by this story today. These are special children, these are special gifts. And you've heard a real live story of how you can love these children and give them the best life ever. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Sarah. And we'll see you all on the next Family Building Podcast.
Thank
Thank you.
you.